Welcome to Newark Made, where we bring you the voices of people shaping Newark's future. I'm Marcus Randolph, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Francis Fatade, the founder and lead architectural designer of Fat Atelier, a Newark-based architectural design and custom millwork company. A top graduate of the University of Lagos and recipient of the prestigious Award for Young African Architects, Francis has spent over a decade blending craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. Through bespoke cabinetry, custom millwork, and his new online home furnishing store, Francis is proving that Newark is a hub for world-class creativity. His journey exemplifies the spirit of innovation that drives our city forward. Francis, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. So, Francis, before we get started with the questions, we like to do a fun icebreaker. Ready?
Let's go.
All right. So we've all been on a journey. And so if your life, like a book, had chapter titles, what would you call this current chapter in your life? What title would you give it?
Chapter. It's funny that I actually thought about something similar scenario today. I think I would say May 1st.
Okay.
A lot of it has happened today. Mixture of good and bad from my early day today to today. And I think it's more of like 90% of great news so far. So I would say today is one of those days in my life that I would always remember, May 1st, 2025.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Significant day.
Correct.
All right. All right. Love that. Love that. Okay. So casual conversation. Let's get into some of the questions and let's learn more about Francis. Ready?
Let's go.
All right. All right. So let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about what made you choose Newark as the place to build Fat Atelier. And was there something about the energy here that drew you to Newark? Just let's talk a little bit about that.
I think for the most part, my story has always been guided by like God putting a path for me.
Okay.
And when it's time to say go here, I just go there. And somehow all the forces would push me to that location. So in Newark, I think Newark just grew on me pretty much. And when I started to do business in Newark, or when I started to do my architecture practice around Newark, I figured there's a lot of my community here. Mm-hmm. And with my community present, I kind of pushed to create my community having spaces that actually put their business on a trend line of where to visit architecture-wise. We've done quite a lot of restaurants in Newark. We've done accounting spaces.
Right.
We've done public spaces. We've done quite a lot of projects in Newark. And so there's always this mindset when everybody says it's Newark. And I always say, you've never been to Newark enough to understand that. You'll be amazed at the spaces that you'll find in Newark. Mm-hmm. And so we recently did a project for a client that is Dober
yes,
taxes. And we got pretty much creative with that process on the project in itself, where up to date, I still pay a visit to the space yesterday, and I'm like, you guys are really even doing better than the space the way we left it. So, we've done a few restaurants here. There's one in Madrid down the block, and we're doing another restaurant also right now. It's more like open space that's by West Market Street. And then, so our projects actually revolve around Newark pretty much. So for what is what, I think I want to grow Newark to become my own spot of architecture. Mm-hmm. And if you travel around, I have the next 2-3 years to do more in spaces, but I want people to refer to my architecture, and you cannot miss when you go to my spaces and say, hey, right, that was designed by these guys.
Yeah.
And that's I've found Newark to be that space, or that community to grow my architecture in.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a really unique answer. I wasn't expecting you to go that direction, but that's a really good point. Like you're putting your mark on a city, a community that you've grown to love, that's embraced you. But right, but then in years from now, we'll go different places and say, this feels very much like something that Francis did, right? So we'll see, you leaving an impact here. That's fantastic, fantastic. So you clearly are a very busy guy, and on top of that, you've launched an online store recently with custom pieces, Murphy beds, floating stairs, and that sounds pretty cool. But what led you to leap into e-commerce, and how's that changing the way you connect with customers?
I think it's always a thing where our spaces and the things that I design revolves around customizing for a particular space, and oftentimes we do something and we're like, oh, that would be nice in someone else's spot. That would be nice if someone can actually go to a spot and pick it up and kind of get our own solution to actual problems that we've been able to, solve in other spaces, and then commercialize it in an instance that best suit other spaces. So that's what's is guiding, and that's what's been driving us to push more on our store, and also why not give other clients, other customers to experience and enjoy our own piece. And it for the most part, it feels customs every time, but then it's always growed on the space every time. It's something that we've practically tested in other spaces, and we know the pros and cons, and we know how to make it better commercial, and it's made in the US.
Right. That's all good. So let's stay here for just a second. So you're talking about different ways of interacting with customers. And I like what you said, like you build a piece, it works for this one job, maybe, it works for someone else. As far as building customers, how has social media been helpful to you? I've looked at your Instagram and I've looked at your website, and have you seen that being helpful? And also with the recognition that it takes time, right, to build those platforms. So what has that done for you?
I think on our social media platform, particularly our Instagram platform, we get tons of inquiries from clients. And I would say just this year alone, we're doing 2 projects that we actually got from our Instagram.
Wow.
And,
how about that?
and it's just client just stomping our page, and boom, they're like, and we've had questions like, are you guys in the US? We're like, yeah, we're right here. It's funny that most of our clients, or most of our staff, even in the office, when they go on camera, are predominantly Black people. So I think when they see the architecture and the design and the mindset around it, it's always a question of, are you sure you guys are local? And we're like, yeah, we're right here.
Right.
We're right here. So it's pretty much very interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting, right? So using the social media to not just show what you can do, but it really is turning into business. People are reaching out to you, and you're getting clients by way of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, important piece to operating business today for sure. Yeah. So let's talk about some of these specific projects, as you touched on earlier, leaving your mark on the city of Newark. You did Sushi by Bao, the Hampton Inn near the airport. You talked about Doba earlier. When you think about what you've done to date here in Newark, like what are some of your personal favorites, some standouts for you?
I think my personal favorite so far would still be Doba space.
Okay.
Really, I think it was more of the clients pushing us from a standpoint of, hey, we have a very limited budget. We have to be able to use the space and be able to reuse the space oftentimes. And also, back home when I was in Nigeria, I played with a lot of OSB as a material. And
tell us what that is.
OSB is orientated strand boards. It's your average typical flooring material.
Okay.
So your subfloor material, that's it. But they've been use of that material to make it look very interesting. And it has this this lively yellowish beige feel that makes the space just with a lot of light. It makes it just pop. And what we were able to do efficiently is to integrate indoor-outdoor feel to the space. Because, when it comes to taxes, it can be very boring. So we told the clients, and the client was like, you know what? Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when the project that actually gave us the interesting and the chill is the one that the client gives us the freedom to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy that the client was able to trust us with that. And I think in the shop, what we like to say, it's I actually called my the office the shop and the studio, because oftentimes I don't like to say that we're working. We're actually just experimenting and having fun with new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say the Dober project is my personal favorite. Another one is the De Madrid bar. Our approach on the De Madrid was to make the Madrid the first hydroponics restaurant in the US.
Okay.
We haven't finished the hydroponics part, but the interesting thing was to give customers experience that when you walk into a bar, the mint and the basil, whatever you're having on the table, is freshly grown in the bar, and it's right behind the bar. And that was a concept that I developed a couple of years back. I call it Aquaponics, and it's a way to design a space with the integration of hydroponics and aquaponics, and make the space interact with the function of hydroponics in itself in such a way that it doesn't kill the aesthetics of the space.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with hydroponics, but if you've ever seen it, it looks like a science experiment when you go into space. So one of the things that really wanted to do with that was to make the design feature into the hydroponics concept of the way of growing food indoors, and at the same time make it part of the architecture. And that we also did with Dober and Dober space. And when you go into the space, I think they're doing pretty much well with their plants, because I visited the space yesterday and I'm like, your plants are growing green. So we try to bring a lot of plants into the space and then fuse it with the architecture as much as we can.
Great. I love I love that you have an understanding, right, of like what people do. Like, for instance, you talked about they do taxes as an accounting firm. So, what can we do to make that space more lively and fun to work in, and then come up with, creative solution that works with the budget. So it's not always about the number, right? It's really about the, creative aspect of it. So that's fantastic. So we want to give you a data point that you may or may not know. We like numbers over at Invest Newark. So we know that over 130,000 Newark residents went out of town last year to shop for home improvements and furnishings. Do you see Fat Atelier as helping to shift the trend where we can help keep people shopping locally with high quality and custom options?
Yes, I think that would be the way to go right now. And that's actually the way to go, because every space is unique. Every person is unique to that space. And so when you think about it, there's one, I wouldn't say furnitures. I would say more of small architecture. Mm-hmm. Because the way I design I kind of describe my architecture is, they're like, oh, you're an architect, so you're a designer, you're a furniture maker, you're a millworker. What's really about the architecture? And I'd say architecture is in everything. It's in everything, from the smallest and the most tiny object to the big buildings you see. There's a design process to it that has solved the problem. Yeah. So when it comes to people looking to get peace, I think it makes sense to actually shop from a custom perspective, because to be honest, when people go to shop for something, they're actually solving a problem to that corner or that space. Mm-hmm. And so they're looking for something particular that fits that space. Nobody goes to shop and say, Oh, some say I like it, but there's, oh, I like it because it does this.
Right.
So
Functionality.
indirectly, you're designing and solving a problem for themselves. But what will make it really cool is if those problems are solved particularly for that aspect. And that's where, the custom solution really shines past just going off the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so you raise a good point. I mean, it is attempting to solve a problem, right? So I think a lot of people think of custom as sort of out of reach. So they go to whatever other retailer that's on, out of town on them, but they're still trying to find a solution for a problem, whether that's their personal space or their office space or restaurant space. So that is a different way to think about it, right? You're spending your money to solve a problem, try to get something that really works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate that. So, you got e-commerce. You are leaving your mark, on the city by doing creative spaces. So what's next? What's next for you? What's next for Fat Atelier? Anything on the horizon that you're excited about that you can share with us today?
Okay. Fat Atelier has another brand called Extreme Cabinets, and Extreme Cabinets solely focuses on kitchens.
Okay.
And a spoiler alert, we're developing something really cool. And the reason why from the approach of the design sense was for us to design a kitchen that can actually feed itself. And that came from COVID. I always like to tell people, like, we humans didn't learn so much from COVID. We just moved on. We evolved. Mm-hmm. We sustained ourselves and we just moved on. But I don't think we've learned the real thing Mother Nature was trying to tell us. Self-sustainable. What happens if someday we can't go out anymore? I mean, it's like something you see in a movie, but what happens? How can our spaces make us sustainable for that time period?
Yeah.
And Mother Nature tested us, actually, and kept us indoors. And we ran out of food. We ran out of
toilet paper.
Yeah. We ran out of everything. And so I think over the years, the line of kitchens has grown to be just fancy furnitures. Fancy furnitures from your kitchen looks good, it looks beautiful. But what more does a kitchen do? What's the fundamental reason behind the kitchen? Is to make food. And it's to prepare food. And what happens if the kitchen itself can grow its own food, and then you can also be a space to prepare it. So with Extreme Cabinet, we're actually designing a concept now that as custom cabinet coming ingrown with our Aquaponics concept, where you can actually grow your veggies right in your cabinet within the kitchen space, yet still keeping it looking like a kitchen or like a science experiment. So that is coming in a few months from now. We have a showroom coming up now, and where clients can actually just walk and experience our architecture. And our showroom, I think, is actually the first showroom in the US that will feature a virtual tour. And so when you come into our showroom, you would be able to virtually see everything that we've designed without actually just seeing the physical object. But for the most part, we're really pushing around furnitures, millwork, adding more than just what we are used to. It's a table, it's a chair, it's for sitting. Mm-hmm. What more does it do?
Right.
And that's where the architecture comes in. And one good thing is that not only do we just design, we manufacture it locally in-house. So our studio, it's like 10,000 square feet space, and everything that we design is made in-house. It's everything from nuts to bolts is actually produced in-house in the shop. And then we actually have control over testing, checking, making sure it works before it ships out to any customer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we have the edge over most design firms or most manufacturing firm. It's just and most of those pieces are actually designed by a real architect. So imagine if an architect or a designer focusing on just a table, an architect that's used to designing buildings and just designing one table, you would imagine what more the table would do,
right?
What you expect it to do. So I think we're actually pushing more in that line.
Yeah, yeah, that's very exciting. Like you said, spoiler alert, but that's really interesting. That's pretty unique. I'm be very excited to hear about what's next there, because you raised a good point about, our spaces and how we use them, how we interact with them. What they can do for us, and vice versa. So that's very exciting. So this has been a great conversation. I've learned more. I definitely could go further with this, but we do want to get to the point where we're starting to wrap up. And so got a fun question for you and ask you to pay it forward a little bit. Can you shout out for us a Newark business that you really love and tell us why you think all of our listeners should check this business out? Not your own, of course. Okay.
I think I have sentimental reasons for Doba taxes.
Yes. Okay.
Doba taxes are my accountant, so it's really cool when you have. I've gone through several CPAs in the recent years, and it's really cool when the CPA sits you down and say, hey, you're doing the design fantastic, great, but you're doing the business part pretty much off. And when they sit you down, they dive into the business 100%, look at how they can reshuffle and actually not just do your taxes, just plan and strategize with you to better grow your business.
That's great. All right. Well, Francis, thanks for taking some time today to sit down with us. Tell us about your journey. Give us a little sneak peek into what's coming up. Obviously, the craftsmanship, the innovation, really is Newark. Exactly what we need here. For all of our listeners, if you're looking to transform a space, if you're trying to solve a problem with a custom piece or just want some inspiration from someone who's blending creativity and entrepreneurship beautifully, definitely check out Fat Atelier. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Please share this episode and come back for more conversations with people who are Newark Made. See you next time.